Hello and welcome to More Than Mondays, a podcast for believers, by believers, to encourage, challenge, and shift our perspective as we begin this week together.
Man, it feels good to be back. 6 months has gone by and we haven't had a single new release of More Than Mondays until today. You may be thinking to yourself, what in the heck? You're in charge of that. You could have done so many things. And I completely agree. I completely could have. But let me catch you up on these last 6 months and intro what we're going to be doing in season 3 of More Than Mondays. Well, these last 6 months have been an absolute joy to be a part of in my life. It's been insane to see what God's been doing and the opportunities that I've had and the unique transitions that I've gone through since our last episode. But the few things that have really kept me from being able to go deeper on More Than Mondays that really took my attention and captured me for a moment are the things that I'm really going to just lean into right now. And the first thing that I want to talk about and share with you about is the job change that I went through in December. Well, most of you know that in October, I transitioned out of the job that I had for a year because of COVID, and I lost that job because of COVID, and that's okay, no big deal. But then in December, after I was working at a party in a equipment rental place in the warehouse for a while, I decided to go back into teaching. So I applied for my job at Grandview High School here in the Kansas City metro area, got hired, and on December 7th December 1st I got hired. December 7th I walked in the door and started working. Well, with working, that meant getting up at 6 in the morning, showering, changing, and originally even earlier to work out, but then that kind of died off. And going to work, planning classes, preparing, grading things, and then coming back home at about 3 o'clock and just being exhausted. But also with that transition, I got a new church. I started to attend a new church, and with that I started to get new roles and new positions, started to giving my life to this church a little bit more, and it's been such an incredible transition. But I'm leading a life group. I'm leading a men's Bible study and helping out with services on the weekend. It's been such an honor to serve with and alongside so many great, amazing people that I know from this new church. And that transition was hard because I went to the same church for the last, since I was saved at 24, but even before that, at 5 years old, we transitioned to this church, and it was my home church from 5 until I was 30 years old, 25 years. So this transition was tough, but it was a lot of fun, and I knew that it was what God was calling me to do. And then finally, honestly, something that took up more time than all of those things was I met someone very special. If you follow me on my my personal Instagram account, you know that I am engaged to be married. Well, I met this beautiful woman in November and we became friends. And over the next month or so, give or take a few weeks, we decided to start talking seriously. And she lived in Virginia. And I was going to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you. I broke it off like the 6th of December as a friendship because I was like, you know what? I know she's getting feelings for me. I'm getting feelings for her. I don't want to make sure that I don't want to lead her on. So I took a step back from the relationship, and that lasted a whole 24 hours. And honestly, that first month and a half, 2 months, all I did was talk to this beautiful, beautiful woman on the phone, FaceTime. We calculated, I think the first 5 days even, we spent 24 hours on the phone. It was an immense amount of conversation, but it was all good. We were talking about life and our dreams and how that would look if we were to continue to pursue one another. And honestly, it has been incredible, an incredible ride. She is a woman who loves God with her whole heart. She helps me be a better man of God, pursue after God, lead my life better so that I can lead her and our future better as a Christ follower. It's been so incredible. But with all of that, time just started getting away from me, and I didn't know exactly what season 3 was going to look like. So season 1 and season 2 were completely different pieces of material, where we had series in season 1, and then season 2 was what I felt like God was speaking to me in a moment and preparing those a week or two in advance. And then finally season 3, as I've sat back and kind of just observed what God wants to do, is going to be on one subject across the board. You know, I was sitting there and talking to my fiance about life and what it looks like to be together as believers, and our vision, and it's been incredible to learn so much from her. And she's already brought so much into my life. Like, for example, if you notice the intro music, the new design, the new graphic for the podcast, all of that was her. She's got such a great creative mind, and she works as a creative director at a church in Roanoke, and it's been so awesome to not only have her in my life, but she actually has the similar vision of mine, and we are running together now towards what God has called us to do in our lives. And it's so cool. It's so much fun to do that. But with that being said, over the last 6 months, as I was getting to know her, as I was transitioning into a new church and transitioning back into high school teaching, I began to think about what does season 3 look like? I didn't want to rush it, and I didn't want to just put out material and content because I was like, oh, it's been a month, it's been 2 months, it's been 3 months, and it's been 4 months. And I'll be honest that about 4 months, I was like, God, I don't know if I'm going to continue this. And I really felt God speak to me and say, this is something that I want you to continue. And so I was like, okay, well, then what is it going to look like this time around? And I really felt him impressing something on me. And I was reminded of it today when I was working out. I was working out on this popular Peloton app. If you don't know what it is, unsponsored. But this woman was guiding a run. So I was running on her treadmill, and she was the coach of the run. And she said, this playlist is explicit, and also the run is explicit because I might drop a few cuss words. And then she said, but I've been trying to get better, do better, because I've been going to church. And I thought to myself, I kind of rolled my eyes, if I'm being honest with you, I kind of rolled my eyes and I shook my head, and I thought to myself, she doesn't get it. And it wasn't like judgment, but it was one of this exasperation of where I was at one point in my life, and where I see so many people like pastors and leaders and your people that just attend church are at in this place. And it's common for us as believers to be in this place because honestly, it's a trap that we can all fall into if we're not careful. And this trap is we start to think a certain type of way of what it means to be a Christian. What does it mean to be a Christian? And that is the whole purpose of this season of More Than Mondays. What does it mean to be a Christian? Does it mean that my behavior has to be modified and I have to change? Can I stay the same and continue acting a certain way? Is it a bunch of check boxes that I just check off? I went to church on Sunday. I read my Bible every day this week, and I prayed every day this week. Check, check, check. I'm a Christian. What does that mean when I proclaim and profess that I am a Christian? I think a lot of us, and myself included, I'm not exempt from this, have thought so many things. And one of the things that God really spoke to me over the last few weeks and the last few months is that He's less interested in behavior modification than He is in life transformation. And the difference between those two things, we can kind of think that those two things go hand in hand because life transformation is obviously going to change your behavior. But the difference between those two things are the root of where it is. Is it because I want to be better, or is it because that I am different? I am the righteousness of Christ. What is the heart behind why we are doing what we're doing? So this season, this episode specifically is an intro to what we're doing this season. Is what does it look like? What does it mean to be a Christian? Not only as a person or an individual, but in the business setting. How do I transform my mind? What does it look like to network as a Christian? and build those types of relationships? What does it look like to be creative as a Christian and continue to operate in these places and spaces? We have some amazing guests. We have 2 repeat guests, and the rest are brand new guests, and I'm really excited about each and every one of them. And one of my favorite people in the world is coming on this podcast to wrap it up, and he's going to be talking about the foundation of the kingdom of heaven, the foundation of what it means to be a Christian. And we're really, really looking forward to that. But I hope you guys are ready. I hope that this season really challenges you and brings you to a new depth of understanding of what it means to be a Christian. I hope it shakes the foundation of what you think it means to be a Christian. Not to shake you and move you away from Christ, but maybe to challenge you to dig deeper and shake your preconceived notions of what Christians are and what they look like, and go deeper and deeper and deeper in your understanding of what it means to be a Christian, to look like Christ. Guys, I'm so excited to do this season. Welcome back to season 3 of More Than Mondays.
Before you go, I wanted to let you know about an opportunity to partner with me and my fiance as we are raising funds to build an orphanage called Grace House in India through an organization called Angel House. Anything you can give financially will go a long way and be greatly appreciated. The link is in the show notes. If you can't give financially, no problem. Please go and share the link with your friends and family on Facebook and cover the house in prayer. As always, thank you for listening to More Than Mondays. I hope this week's conversation encouraged, challenged, and shifted your perspective. Have a great week.